Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we are taking a look at the Blood Ravens chapter, and more importantly, their reaction to the new Primaris Marines, and news of the reborn Primarch Roboute Guilliman. Now, the events we are discussing today are from the short story Raven's Blood by Callum Davis, and this story was actually back in the 2019 July White Dwarf, so if you've got that one but never read it, do yourself a favour and go back and give it a read. It's really quite enjoyable. And if you don't get the White Dwarf magazine, then what are you waiting for? They're really up their game with the short stories, and they cover some really interesting eye-opening moments that otherwise you'd be missing out on. So I really do recommend checking it out when you see it on the shelves, or just subscribing and get it sent straight to your door. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Now, when the Great Rift tore through the Imperium and ripped the galaxy in two, it left the Blood Ravens cut off from the rest of the Imperium, and like all Space Marine chapters, they were overwhelmed with distress calls, and so the chapter spread across countless battle zones, doing what they could to stem the tide of chaos. 7th Company Captain Atanaxis and his battle group have suffered heavy losses, with the outlook of survival getting bleaker with every passing day. And then finally, the first contact with the Imperium is restored, with the arrival in the shape of a Tyrant-class battlecruiser under Adeptus Custodes' command, no less. Atanaxis hurries to the bridge, his mind racing with possibilities. The only time the Custodes had left Terra was to deliver the Emperor's judgment, and now here they are. It's pretty obvious where his mind is going. The bridge was alive with activity. Serfs and servitors were hard at work repairing broken screens and panels. Bright orange sparks fell like rain. Officers shouted orders, passing on data and readouts to colleagues. Atanaxis listened to their voices. As the crew of an Adeptus Astartes vessel, they were polished and professional. They were also tense. They were aware of the chapter's visitors and the uncertainty they brought. Noticing their captain's presence, the dozens of crew fell silent, came to attention, and made the sign of the Aquila. Only the buzz of data streams and babbling of servitors remained. "Captain," the librarian said, "I believe these are good tidings." He wore a thin smile. "I pray to the Emperor that they are," Atanaxis said. "All non-essential personnel, out." Without hesitation, every applicable member of the crew filed out of the bridge. Only when the last left and the bulkhead doors were sealed did Atanaxis approach the ship's command throne. As he sat down and ran his gauntlets over the buttons and switches on the throne's arms, he felt the gravity of the moment. Contact at last, he thought. He almost hesitated as he opened up the communications feed. Isolation from the Imperium had had its advantages, but this was something he could not ignore. "Argent, this is Captain Atanaxis of the Adeptus Astartes Blood Ravens 7th Company, commanding Glory of Calderis. With whom do I speak?" "Shield Captain Apollos Pertinax. I bring word of the Lord Commander of the Imperium, Roboute Guilliman, from beyond the Great Rift. Where is Chapter Master Angelos?" "Roboute Guilliman? Alive? What of the tear?" Impossible, surely, Atanaxis thought. He took a split second to process his thoughts. He looked to Valestis, who shook his head. "Where is Chapter Master Angelos?" repeated Pertinax. Atanaxis furrowed his brow. "The Chapter Master has duties across many systems and brings war to the Emperor's foes. I, as a captain of the Blood Ravens, have authority to speak on behalf of the chapter." Atanaxis steeled himself before continuing. "I must ask you, how are you able to cross the tear? All of our attempts have failed. You will grant boarding rights to my warriors and I, and hear the Primarchs' reborn statements and declaration." "Captain, you would be wise to agree," Valestis said, speaking to Atanaxis' mind. "There are many questions, none of which will be answered should we not acquiesce." "They speak as if I am some kind of chapter menial. We are Adeptus Astartes." "That they do. They are the Adeptus Custodes. It is to be expected." "You will respond, Captain," said Pertinax. "We have no choice, brother," said the librarian. Atanaxis gritted his teeth. "The rights are given, Shield Captain." A good example of the almost disdain and contempt the Custodes have for the Space Marines here. He doesn't even acknowledge the question, just straight to the point. And indeed, why not? They are the Emperor's chosen. They serve him and him alone. Now, the Custodians arrive aboard their Golden Orion gunship, typically resplendent in its immaculate condition, compared to the war-weary and battered honour guard the Blood Ravens have hastily assembled. But still, the 20 battle brothers and 40 chapter servants stood tall and proud, bearing their war-torn armour with pride. They had nothing to prove to the Custodes. "A poor state indeed for such an occasion," Valestis said. "Let them see us in our true condition," Atanaxis rebutted. "Let them see us as the warriors we are, and know the sacrifices we have made." 5 Custodians descended their gunship's ramp, resplendent in perfectly polished gold armour, and all wielding the guardian spears of their order. Their helmet plumage and left shoulder insert wore the colour of freshly spilt blood, their robes as white as old Serene's polar ice. At their head was a warrior whom Atanaxis took to be Pertinax. He carried a strangely decorated box that did not appear to be part of his traditional war gear. Atanaxis observed the Custodes eyeing their surroundings, taking in every detail of the hangar. They assessed this place as if they expect to be clearing it out for the Emperor's presence, Atanaxis said over the internal vox. "Our warriors are many spear lengths apart, as they requested. That should be obvious." "It is their life's purpose," said Valestis. "They will already know how they would kill us if they deemed it necessary. They say they bring word of the Primarch reborn, and they expect we might fight them? I can't say I hold much confidence that what we will hear will be good." Valestis laughed. "Have faith, brother. We will get our answers. It is what the leader carries in that box that intrigues me." The Custodians walked past the guard of honour without acknowledgement. They kept their distance from the Blood Ravens' officers. The box the Custodian leader carried was wrapped in chains and adorned with wards, sigils and other strange Asteric symbols. His chapter's insignia, however, was plain to see. "Captain Atanaxis," the Custodian said. Atanaxis bowed his head a fraction. "Welcome to the glory of Calderis. You will take us to a secure room to discuss the Primarch's words." Atanaxis stared into the eye slits of the Custodian's helm, pausing for a few seconds. He was not impressed by the Custodian's terseness. "Follow me." Now, I love the Custodians, I really do. They only care about their duty to the Emperor and nothing else. But on first reading, I just thought they were coming across as douchebags. The Space Marines have been dying by the hundreds, the thousands, across the Imperium, giving their all in the defence of mankind, in the name of the Emperor. They deserve a little respect at least. But then, if you look at it from the Custodian point of view, the galaxy's only in this mess because of the Legions and their Primarchs. If the Emperor couldn't trust Horus, why on earth would the Custodes trust a random chapter out in the middle of the darkness? And it leaps out at you throughout this story. The Custodes are wary of even the hint of treachery, making sure the Ravens remain at spear's lengths apart. Then, as they reach the room chosen, they wait for the Ravens to cross halfway into the room before they even enter themselves, ensuring there's no ambush. 5 Custodes versus 20 Space Marines? I think my money's on the Custodes. Neither party sat. Atanaxis doubted the Custodes could have sat in the seating available even had they wanted to. Honour demanded that he not sit while they stood. Pertinax placed the box on the table that dominated much of the space. "The Lord Commander of the Imperium, Roboute Guilliman, bids you his greetings," said the Custodian. "He has charged me with passing his message and tidings. He has returned to the Imperial fold after 10,000 years in stasis. Much has changed in that time, but one thing has not. He will fight for mankind with every fibre of his being, and he will help those who would do the same. 10,000 years ago, the Primarch developed a way to improve on the Adeptus Astartes with Archmagos Belisarius' call. Now these plans come into fruition. Primaris Space Marines, in their tens of thousands, now fight for the Imperium. Lord Guilliman extends to you the means to recruit your own. To aid you in doing this, he provides chapter gene seed taken from Mars itself. Pertinax gestured to the box. In order to aid the transition, a dozen Magi of the Adeptus Mechanicus, along with 200 Medicae and Tech Thralls and Servitors, will be incorporated into the Blood Raven structure. They have with them all of the necessary equipment. All of these are on the Argent. They will be transferred to the Glory once this meeting has concluded. Atanaxis and Valestis stood in silence. Gene seed from Mars? This could tell us everything, said Valestis, his excitement palpable. If the Primarch has returned, knows of us here, and can dispatch warriors across the tear, why does he not send fleets and armies? Implored Atanaxis. Our forces are at breaking point. World after world is sundered by Xenos and the archenemy. What few allies we have made contact with report identical disasters. A few hundred thralls will not tip the balance in our favour. Compliance is all that is required, Pertinax answered. You will accept the Magi, thralls and all of their equipment and tools. Shield Captain, said Valestis. We would be most grateful if you could share with us what you mean by Primaris Space Marines. We are ignorant, as you are no doubt aware we have been isolated beyond the tear. They are Space Marines, of the second generation. Argent carries the means to make your own. Pertinax almost sounded angry about the concept as he spoke. Impossible, said Atanaxis. He almost laughed. We know how to make blood ravens. We have thralls and magi. While the gift of gene seed is most welcome, it will take years to raise aspirants. I care not. There is no debate, no discussion. It is no negotiation. The Lord Commander decrees. By extension, so does the Emperor himself. Be of no doubt, rejection will not be looked upon with forgiveness, and you are in no position to resist. You have said as much yourself. Blood Ravens have stood steadfast with the Imperium for thousands of years. We will not tolerate being spoken to in such a manner. I have 60 warriors to your 5, 5 ships to your 1, and you are on the wrong side of the tear. You never did say how you crossed it. Do not push them, brother. We need the gene seed. Think of what answers it might give us, said Valestis. I am not threatened by your petulant grandstanding. We are the Emperor's chosen guardians. Pertinax gestured to one of his warriors who stepped forward with a hololith. He pushed it across the table to the Blood Ravens. Watch, Blood Raven. This will be your last indulgence. Now the hololith shows Primaris Space Marines, pretty much a highlight training package with Eye of the Tiger playing in the background. Okay, not exactly, but you get my gist. Atanaxis is weary, thinking it may be some kind of chaos trickery at first, or a Mechanicus experiment gone awry. But Valestis the librarian is much more approving, believing the Custodes themselves are sign enough of it being truthful. And perhaps that's why Guilliman entrusted the Custodes this responsibility of taking the news to the chapters, because they alone represent the purity of the Emperor. There is no doubt when dealing with them. And of course, should they encounter treachery, the Custodes are powerful enough to protect the Primarch's gift. We will receive the Primarch's gift, said Atanaxis. If these were the weapons that would be arrayed against them if they resisted, even should they defeat the Custodes, they had no hope. You still consider these good tidings, librarian? Atanaxis asked. There was no reply. The Magi, draped in heavy red cloaks marked with the sigils of Mars, chanted in dull binaric tones as they escorted the vats, containers and laboratorium equipment through the glory of Calderis. Servo skulls flew among them and around their technological charges, jabbering senseless monologues and technical data. The thralls, also wearing Martian red, walked behind them. Each was a unique fusion of human and machine. Some walked on sets of bionic legs that clanked on the decking. Others had bionic eyes that constantly whirred and buzzed. More had hands replaced with complex medical equipment or engineering tools. Each was marked with tattoos of a skull set inside a 12-toothed cock. Atanaxis and Valestis observed the procession. "The gene seed is safe in the apothecarium?" he asked. "Yes, Captain. Thrice sealed," said Valestis. "There is enough for over 100 aspirants. This will aid our chapter's fortunes greatly." "Good. Yield all you can from it. I will not have any secret left undiscovered, nor will I allow any impurity to enter our gene stock." "It shall be done, Captain. We may yet learn the secrets of our origins from this." "That I hope. I would also have all our new guests questioned. Nothing heavy-handed, but they are to hide nothing from us. I trust your skills will be sufficient to unpick what information they hold in their minds." "They will be, Captain. There will be much for us to glean here." "I have one other order." "Yes, Captain?" "Angelos is not to know. Not until we have something to report." And there we have it. The Blood Ravens received their Primaris Space Marines, and like many of the chapters across the Imperium, they were extremely skeptical. And why wouldn't they be? This is a major change to everything they've ever known. And I'm not just talking about the Primaris Marines. There's now a Primarch walking amongst them. Roboute Guilliman has returned, and with him, a glimmer of hope for the Imperium. But where the Blood Ravens are concerned, secrets are never far behind. Their first thought on the gift of gene seed from the vaults of Mars is to hopefully bring them closer to the secret of their founding, to unravel the mystery of their lineage. And then choosing not to inform their chapter master, Gabriel Angelos? What could be the reason for that? As always guys, you drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love to read them and interact with you. What do you think of the Blood Ravens receiving the Primarch's gift? And what of their interaction with the Custodes? As always, a huge thank you to all my subscribers, and if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too? But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.